Hello, my name is Daniel, and this is a movie about these and this.
Svin, mand.
Nå, det er næsten ny PR på tørflue, er det ikke det?
Jo, det tror jeg.
Nå, men så er vi i gang.
Ja. Jamen, det tog også 10 minutter eller sådan noget.
Ja.
Fuck.
Det er det, så jeg ikke sådan, det er det dårlige sted hen i verden. Hello there. What you just saw was a lot of action with dry flies for sea trout. Over the last couple of years, I have experimented with a lot of friends about fishing for trout and big sea trout with foam flies upstream for trout. And this is what this video is about. Also, I'm going to talk a lot about the different places and the different holding zones of sea trouts in the river. This is kind of like a smaller river that's ideal for this type of fishing, where you fish with these foam flies on water. And one of the things I'm going to do in this video is to show you some of the spots where the sea trouts actually will grab a fly like this. And if you look at exactly this stretch of water here we have just in front of us, you will see that this is an ideal holding place for several sea trout. What happens in the river out here is you have the tree on one side, and that kind of makes a tunnel out into the water. And there is also underneath these branches there will be a lot of shade, and shade is something that the sea trouts prefer. So you have two of the things that sea trout really wants here. You have the narrowing of the river that makes it deeper, and then you have the cover of the branches. So a place like this is something that definitely will hold a trout. And this of course also applies to brown trout. So the way to fish this is basically, I'm a bit too close now. If I was to fish this regularly or in a real fishing situation, I would be a bit further away. So what I basically do is I take the fly here, and then I cast it upstream, and then I stream it so that it creates kind of like a wake downstream, and I cast it towards the place where I think the fish would lie. So here I fish both as close to the branches on the one side, on the other side of the bank here, but also very close to my own bank, because the trouts can be in both places. And basically this spot is something that is ideally suited for a large trout. So I've cast a bit more than I normally would have, but the idea here is simply to cast your fly upstream and then pull it towards you at a pace that is faster than the current, so it will make this wake, make this V shape in the water, which is something that the trout really loves, both brown trout and sea trout. I've caught some sea trouts in this river that had frogs in their belly, and I think maybe some of the trouts that are feeding are focused on them, but also the fish that are not feeding, that are here for spawning, they will act aggressively towards a fly that is invading their domain, kind of like this. So basically this is a very nice spot, and something you should look for whenever you pursue trout. Places where the river is more narrow and deeper with faster current, and places where the trout can hide during the daytime. Another great spot for trout in general is you have this long stretch that is fairly straightforward, but then towards the other bank you have these big weed beds out in the middle of the river, and these create a natural resting place for the trout because they provide cover, but also the water is a bit deeper out there. So basically, to fish this, I would cast the fly starting from down here from the lower part, and then fish the lower part, and then gently and slowly move up. If I were to fish this, not showing you, I would probably have a bit more distance to where I'm actually fishing. But since this is a demonstration, this is how I would do it. And then basically you just cast your fly upstream. Out there in the current. That was not a very well placed cast, but as close to the other bank, and then you fish this pocket water, this more deep part of this water here upstream with the foam fly, and if there is a trout, he can see the fly and he will come out from underneath the weeds and grab it. So again, upstream, and you cannot underestimate the importance of the weeds in a river like this, because it is truly some awesome spots, and they don't need to have that much water to actually be there. Last week I got a good fish just up ahead here, and you can see that in the clip here.
Ej, det var en havre. Der!
So you see the weed, the pockets of weed out in the middle of the river really provides excellent cover for the trouts, and you should always fish towards the weeds.
Ej, and once more!
Another important place to always fish, and again I'm a bit too close now if this was really a fishing situation, is as you see here. You see the current comes from over there, and there's this bend, and then it hammers into the bank on the other side, and this creates a very deep area over there, and then you have this kind of where the bank the bank, sorry, the bank it comes out a bit more, so there is an irregularity. And this pushes the water out and creates a very nice and a natural resting place for a trout. So places where the bank is uneven is very important to fish. And if you can get your cast as close to that, so it's you can see the weeds over there. So I'm gonna try to cast as close to that, and then strip the fly out away from the place where I think the trout is. So basically, you cast. And then cast as close to that as you can, and now I'm in the weeds. And another good trick for you about this is a lot of the times when you fish this, it's very important that you hit the right spot, so you will eventually catch a lot of weeds and stuff like that. And a good trick is a lot of people start just really hammering away and pumping the rod and really pulling a lot. A good trick is simply to take your rod and okay, now it worked as well. Simply just make some rapid but not very aggressive swoops with your rod, and that will transform into the fly, and most of the time it will actually pull your fly away, because it's most often it's not actually the hook, but it's more likely the leader that is stuck. And if you do like that, you will get your fly away. If I've just started pulling really hard there, then what would have happened would that the hook would have caught, and it would very likely be that I would lose the fly. So that's a good trick as well.
Jeg får ikke et for den er umulig at fange. Den står helt inde under træet.
Men det tror du var god.
Hvor mange er det du? Nå nej.
Nu kom så.
Det var nok flot. Film i det her lige nu. Og
ja,
sådan deroppe i træet. Så.
Det jeg lige sagde før, det var, at nu har Stefan jo lige været så flink og rar og venlig lige at filme mig en masse, så du er nødt til at lige holde den op igen, Stefan. Der er ikke noget lyd på. Så jeg gik lige... Jeg fortalte ham lige lidt om et bestemt sted heroppe, der plejer at være ret godt. Og det er faktisk også meget, hvis man kan se det her, så er det faktisk sådan et helt optimalt sted herude i åen, hvor åen smaller meget ind, og samtidig så er der et træ, og der er sådan noget grøde ude i vandet, så der er både det her med, at det smaller ind, og det her træ, de kan stå og gemme sig under, så er det helt perfekt, klassisk sted til at fange havret. Det gjorde Stefan så lige. Sagde med en fin lille en, den der. Lille.
Den er smallet ind, som vi lige har stået og snakket om. Det er sjovt. Jeg nåede kun lige at lande bilen. Så sidder sådan en fin halvmeter. Dejligt.
Så kom den fri igen. Perfekt. Godt arbejde. Super. Regarding the flies, then of course this is the fly of choice. This is a foam beetle. It's a fairly easy fly to tie, and I have complete material kits for tying these. And I mainly use these in 3 different colors. I use the red one here, which has kind of been my favorite this year, and a yellow one, and then a gray one as well. And I tie them in 3 different sizes. And the good thing about these flies is they're fairly easy to tie, because when you look at these, you buy a sheet of foam. You can actually buy some foam cutters, which is a small kit with 3 different cutters in them, and you simply just stencil out the correct shape for these flies. And basically it's just some dubbing and some rubber legs, and then these stenciled out foam bodies. Really simple to tie, and I have a full tutorial on how to do this. As I said, the 3 different colors I use mainly is gray black, red black, and yellow black. And this year and some of last year, I've been doing something new. I've been adding an eye to the underside of many of these flies, simply so when this skates, there is actually an eye underneath here that stares down on the fish. If it is the deciding factor or not, I'm not sure, but I must say I got my biggest fish this year, a very nice sea trout on 4.5 kilos, something like that, with the eye. So I tend to think that it has an effect.
Det kan godt være, jeg ikke har fået så mange fisk i år, men jeg har da lige fået den her basse her, på, som I kan se derinde. Jeg ved ikke, om I kan se den inde i munden, men der er en skumbille der. Hold kæft, man, 70 cm og bare høj og tyk og bred som bare fanden.
High five!
Sådan!
Also, the reason why I started doing this was when I visited Russia 2 years ago to fish for salmon. The guide in the camp there told me that all his salmon dry flies, he puts the eye underneath there, and that's the most crucial thing on that fly. And if it doesn't have the eye, he will attach a new one, because it really is important, he says. Also, I've done some of these on tubes, so you can have the hook of your preference. And it's basically the same fly, just on a hook, and you can have a triple hook or whatever. Those works fairly well as well. So basically that's it for the flies. Fairly simple, and that's a good thing, because they are so easy to tie, and they just fish very well.
Lige præcis sådan der.
Another thing that's very important to keep in mind is when you're fishing streams like this, smaller streams, often you will encounter places that are hard to access and hard to cast to. Places like this, and there is some tricks you can use to present your fly to fish that would normally be out of reach. You see, right here in front of me, we have these very high bushes, and these make it impossible for me to fish the stretch of water that is directly between you and me. And there is a trick to doing that. You can do a reach cast, and basically a reach cast is I cast directly towards the camera. I cast the line over the tops of these weeds, and then in the air, just as I release the cast, I push my rod out here, and that makes my line fall down on the river, and actually makes it possible to fish inaccessible places. So a reach cast is a very, very nice cast to be able to do. I'm gonna do it one more time here. I cast this directly above the weeds, and then as I deliver the cast, I move my rod intentionally far out, and I tried to do that very a bit more slowly, and that resulted in me getting in all the weeds here. So, but I think you get the point. Let me just push this out here. You know, crap happens, stuff happens, but nevertheless. So I've been fishing. Yeah, you know how it is. So I've been fishing. I had 2 successful casts before I made one that wasn't successful, and then I would move up here and try to keep as low a profile as possible. Because another thing you can do is, and you should do this every time you move you move towards the water. Simply keep a low profile and then make some very short casts right here, because I couldn't reach these from downstream before. Then I make some very, very short casts here, and I keep my profile as low as possible. And then when you get a fish to strike in this range, then really you have something that looks absolutely astounding. Also, now I've just fished the water here upstream for me that is close. But another thing that's important is, if you say the stretch of weeds here was longer, so I was not able to, if I have not been able to fish it upstream from where I stood before, then when I approach the water from here, I would make 1 or 2 casts downstream. Because this fishing works as well downstream. It's not as effective as it is upstream, at least to my experience, but it's more effective to fish it downstream than not fish it at all. And I've caught quite a good number of very nice sized salmon downstream as well. So remember, if there is water you cannot access upstream, then be sure not to just pass by it. Simply fish it, but fish it downstream. That's an important lesson.
Ja, tak! Den er stor, den her! Og den er fuldstændig vanvittig stærk! Den er satanedme stærk, den her. Jeg ved ikke, hvad fanden der går af den. Det føles næsten som en steelhead eller sådan noget. Nej! Ja, den røg. Pis, mand. Det var satme ellers en god fisk.
Just gonna give it a cast here, more here, up here, because this water really looks nice when I get this off, like so. So try to find things that can hide you, like this small tree here, when you're fishing up close to potential holding places for trout. Stoop over if you have to.